Hakadosh Boker Tov, Masechet Ketubot Daf Tzadik Zayin Amud Aleph 97a1. So the Gemara is talking about that if right now a person came and they gave over a property, right? We're talking about a shchid mirah, and he gave over property to somebody that he owed money to, and basically he could have given it over as a debt. He's paying back his debt, or he's giving it over as a present. He says if the guy that's receiving the money is taking it as a present, so he doesn't have as much strength as if that he was taking it as his debt. Meaning, somebody owes me money, right? And now they're going to pass away, right? An elderly person, he's 100 years old. Yeah, he's going to pass away. So what happens? He comes and he says, take this. So I could either take it as a present, or I could take it as my debt. If I take it as my debt, I have more strength because he owes me money. Then if I just take it stam as a present, the strength is much less. Okay, so says the Gemara, Keitzad mocheret. What is the case where she is selling her property? Right, we're talking about over here that she's selling the property in one shot. So Amar of Daniel, Amar of Katina, Amar of Huna mocheret achat lishne masar chodesh. Once every 12 months, she could sell a property for the entire year. However, though, right, you don't give her the money in one shot. Every 30 days, you give her the money. Because remember, a lot of people, you come, you give them all the money in one shot. What happens? They blow it all away. So what do? Every month, you give her the money. You sell it once a year, right? Let's say, for example, they need money this year in order to support her. So they take the property, they sell it. Okay, fine. We have the money for the full year, but don't give her the money in one shot. Every 30 days, you give her the money. Rav Yudah says, no. Right? You could sell once every 6 months. But then you have to give it to her 30 days. So everyone agrees that you're giving it to her every 30 days. The only difference is, do you sell a property for every 6 months, or every year for the entire year, or 6 months for that 6-month period? Okay, Rav Yehuda Omer, Amar, Rav Yehuda comes and he said, we just said this one, the Shisha Chodashim. Sorry, there's the next Shita, for Shisha Chodashim. So, okay, sorry, we just did that one. So we have a proof to the Shita of Rav Huna. You sell for the 12 months. But we also have a proof to Rav Yehuda. You sell every 6 months, and then you're going to do it once every 30 days. Says it's once every 6 months. And the lokeach is mefarnes once every month. Okay, just like Rav Yehuda. So Ravashi says, so maybe Rav Huna mai. What about Rav Huna? Right, which is basically, what's the psak of Rav Huna? Why is it that we didn't paskin like him? Elmaleh lo shmiali, because I never heard of it. Klomar lo sirli. Sometimes a rabbi will come and say, I never heard of such a thing. It doesn't mean that he doesn't hear, he never heard of it. It means that he doesn't hold of it. So it means when he's saying, I never heard of it, it means that kilu, doesn't exist. Okay? So they asked from Rav Sheshat, mocheret limzonot. Right, if a person is going to come and they're going to sell for mizonot, ma'u shetachzor v'titrof lektubah. Can they come and collect it as the ketubah or not? Which means, remember, here we're talking about that they're selling a field from the husband's property in order to give her food, right? She's an almanah, she's a widow, so there's a selling the property in order to get, right, the food. So now, what salacha can she now collect for the ketubah? Can she collect or not collect? So, kamibai lehu Rav Yosef. So they asked the question with Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef, armelata de zabin, an almanah that comes and she sold, right, the properties of the yitomim. Achrayut ayatme, that achrayut goes on the yitomim, that they have to come and they are obligated for the ketubah and the mezonot. Ubedina de zabin achrayut, right, ayatme mai. But now what happens when it's the bedin that are selling it? So therefore the achrayut is on the yitomim. What's halacha in such a case? Given the achrayut, since you say that the achrayut responsibility is on the orphans, tarfa, so she could grab it. Well, Dilmar, maybe we could say matzi amrele. They could tell her. He says, even though you're right, from other people we accepted it, which means that if other people grab it, you don't have to pay, but rather it goes back on the yitomim. But here, not on you yourself. So they said, we already learned it. She could come and sell it until the ketubah. Okay, and then we were going to say that she's going to collect the ketubah from that field. Shemamina, we learn from here, shaira, only if there's something left over, then she could collect the ketubah. And if not, no. That means if there's something left over, because remember, the woman, as long as she doesn't get remarried, she's an almanah. Yeah, that's the way it is. As long as she doesn't get married. The second that she's get married, she's gone. She's never the almanah anymore. She's now a married woman. Has nothing to do with it. As long as she's an almanah, she gets the money from the husband. Yeah, that means, let's say a woman decided she never gets married again. So for what happens? From the properties, even though technically speaking, the children inherit it, and she doesn't inherit nothing. But as long as she's a widow, she gets fed from the property of the husband. That's halacha. Again, as long as she's a widow, she gets married kaddish. There's nothing to talk about. Yeah, she gets the fruits. She gets everything from the. Now that's mizonot. What about her ketubah? Her ketubah was something different. Her ketubah was that if the husband divorces her or he dies, he pays her ketubah. The ketubah is not for food. The ketubah is money of a ketubah. It has nothing to do with it. So here we're saying that really first we have to take care of her mizonot, which is the food. After that, if there's leftover, we give to her ketubah. Okay, that's what we're saying. There's leftover, we give to the ketubah. So says the Gemara, maybe we're only saying that 1 second that people are not going to call her a chazranit, which means that she always comes and she takes back the property, meaning she sold it and now she's going to regret it and she's going to take it back. So you can, if so, litni, why don't we just learn? What does it mean samachla? If there's going to be leftover, right? That's to be somech on them. That means basically she could come and she could rely upon it. That's the pshat of shayra, that she's relying upon the field in order to collect her ketubah. Lo shayra lo, but if not, no. So we're going to ask the following question: Zabin velo yitzich lezuze. What happens if they sold the property and then they didn't need the money? Right? Hadre zavina, does it go back? Does it retract? Or lo hadre zavina? Meaning like this: we thought that we needed money for her parnasa. All of a sudden, they started giving out boxes. It was a year of Corona, and all of a sudden, there's free boxes out there. She doesn't need any parnasa. So now what? Do we retract on the sale or not retract on the sale? So Tashema, there was somebody that sold the field to Rav Papa, that he had to sell in order to buy ox. At the end, he didn't need it. And Rav Papa returned it to him. So you see from here that he returned it. Says no, Rav Papa Rav Papa was a rabbi. So he did above and beyond the letter of the law. Meaning, technically, Rav Papa could have told him, listen, tough luck. You sold it. You think I care what you sold it for? Now you didn't need it. You didn't need it. Listen, you sold it. You sold it. Rav Papa was a big rabbi. He said, you know what? I did it. He did above and beyond. But you can't bring a proof from there to the halacha, right? Because it's something completely different. So says the Gemara, Tashema, right? He comes and he says, Tashema dahu betsurata dava benarda. There was somebody, right, that was in Narda. Savninu kule alma lapdaniu, right? That they sold their armenot and everything in order that they should get money. At the end, they have chitim, right? They have, the wheat. Amalu, Rav Nachman comes and he says, right? Dina hu dehadre apader mare. He says they could actually give it back. Why? Because they said that if they went and they sold it, right, you know that it was only because they needed the money. And now that the fact that they didn't need money, it's going to be batel. So Hatam Nami, they're also zvini betotov. It was a mistake. Tiglai minta de arba biikula vekama, because everyone knew that there was a boat, right, that was bringing it during the time of Mechira. So if they would have known it, they wouldn't have sold it, right? So therefore, since it was done as a mistake, that's why. Meaning from the beginning, it was a mistake in the sale. So says Gemara Yachi, if so. That's what the Rashua said name Nachman. If so, you're making them come and have a stumbling block for the future. The Elmaleh, and he told him, he says, what? Every single day, there's going to be a batzoret, there's going to be we're lacking in wheat. Elmaleh, he says, yes. But it was always common in Narda to always have that they were missing wheat. So that's why it does go back. Meaning that's halacha. That means if you sold the field and they knew that you only selling it because you were strapped for cash, and at the end you didn't need the cash, it retracts the sale. Okay? Fine. Says the Mishnah. Mishnah on the bottom of Sadik Zayin Amud Aleph. Almana be'menusim menusim mocheret shelo bebedin. An almana, whether she's an almana from irusin or nisuin, that means she became widowed. Doesn't matter whether she was from engagement or from marriage. They sell the properties without the bedin. Shimon says if she's from the nisuin, she could sell it without the bedin. From the irusin, she needs to sell it with a bedin. The she'en la mizonot, because she doesn't get a mizonot at all. V'chol she'en la mizonot, and she doesn't get mizonot. Lotin kol bedin, she could only sell with the bedin. Because remember, only from engagement, she doesn't get food from the husband. It was only engaged. Where does she eat? She eats from the father, as long as she's engaged. So because of that, she can't sell. So says I understand because of the nisuin from the marriage, she gets parnasa, she gets to eat, she gets food. So that's why she's allowed to sell it without the bedin. Okay? So the Exaida Mubet, 97b. Ella mina dusin maitama, but from the dusin, what's the reasoning why bemet she's able to sell it without the bedin according to the first shita? Amar ula says mishum china, because of chen. What do you mean chen? Sometimes we wanted that women would jump on men to get married to them, so therefore it makes it good. So if they know that they get a lot of benefits, they're going to go try to get married. So therefore, because of chen, that's why they did it. Rabbi Yochanan says, a person doesn't want that his wife has to get embarrassed in front of Bedin. She has to come in front of Bedin, start telling them, look, the husband passed away, they have to sell the property, not sell the property. She's going to be very embarrassed. He doesn't want that. Okay, maybe now what's the difference between them? She was divorced. Why? If she was divorced, he doesn't care. It's not his wife anymore. So let her get embarrassed. He doesn't care. If it's because of chen, so then a person still wants that women should get married to men, so they gave them a lot of rights. So it says, right? So grusha nami b'chen, even a grusha needs china. He doesn't care. It's not his wife anymore, so he doesn't care. Once a person divorces his wife, he doesn't care about her anymore. Okay? Fine. So now we learned in the Mishnah. Ugrusha lo timkor ela b'vedin. The grusha, right? She could only sell on bedin. I understand according to the man that definition of grusha lo ichpale, because he doesn't care that his wife should get embarrassed in the bedin. But according to the man the Amma, mishum china, because of chen, grusha membechen. He says also grusha needs chen. So says the Gemara, Haman, who is this? Bishimoni, it's a Bishimon. So says the Gemara, if you're going to tell me it's a Bishimon, hatana lereisha. What about the reisha? The reisha says mina dusin, she shouldn't sell at all. So what's the case then? So he says, Mao the time I would have thought to say almana mina dusin who telona fish chen dida, because there's not a lot of chen. Aval grusha, but grusha there was more chen. Meaning when a person, for sure, you cannot compare somebody that already got married and then got divorced to somebody that only got married but was only engaged. A person, once she got married to her husband, there's a lot of grace. Afterwards, okay, they got divorced, whatever it is. There might have been fights. There might have been, okay, fine. But until then, there was much more grace. There's much more of a bond between that than between the first case where she's only engaged. Yeah? So he says, I would say that she needs chen. So says the Gemara, we also learn this. Right? When it says that anytime that she doesn't get food, she has to sell with a bedin. What is that coming to include? Well, obviously coming to include the grusha. So says the Gemara, no. The case where we're in a doubt whether she's divorced or not. And like Rabbi Zera. Anytime when we have a doubt whether she's divorced or not, the husband still has to give her parnasa. Sometimes it happens, for example, he throws a get to her. And there's a doubt. Did she actually receive it? Didn't receive it? It was a doubt. It was closer to him, closer to her. So safek megureshet. She's doubt whether she's divorced or not. In such a case, he's still obligated to give her parnasa. Because on the doubt that maybe she's still not divorced, he still has to feed her. So that means he threw it towards her. It was maybe closer to him. And then he skipped down. The rabbis come and say, listen, there's a doubt. She's divorced, not divorced. Boom, we're going to come. We give her to eat. From where? From his properties. Why? There's a doubt whether she's divorced or not. He has to feed her. So Tashma, we're going to try to bring a proof. Just like she sells without the bedin, so to her inheritors, the ones that inherit her ketubah, are also going to sell without the bedin. So Bishman, according to the mandamar that says that a person doesn't want to be, that his wife is going to be embarrassed in the bedin, just like he doesn't want her to be embarrassed in Medin, also her inheritors to be embarrassed in Medin. But according to the mandamar Mishum of Chen, what's the Chen? By the Yorshim, by the inheritors, what grace is there? So it was her sister or daughter that inherited her. So because of that, there's still going to be chen as well. Mishnah Tzadik Zayin Mubet 97b, the Mishnah. Machra ktuvata o miksata o mishkena ktuvata o miksata natna ktuvata la'adam acher o miksata lo timkor et hashav v'atin. What happens if a woman came? She sold the value of her ketubah or part of the ketubah, or she gave it, right? She gave it as a collateral, as the ketubah, the entire thing, or part of it, or she gave it to somebody else as a present. All of it or part of it. Doesn't matter. That means basically what happened was she tampered with her ketubah. There was a debt document, which is called the ketubah. She tampered with it. Whether she sold it, whether she gave it as a present, whether she used it as a collateral, the rest, she has to use a betin in order to sell the rest of it. She cannot come. Why? Because we're going to suspect that if she already did use part of it, we don't know how much she did use, didn't use. So therefore, that's it. Says again, the Mishnah, Chachamim say, she could even sell it little by little, even 4 or 5 times. It doesn't matter. And then she's going to sell properties in between in order to have parnasa, the food, in right with the bedin. And she's going to write Limzonot macharti. I sold this field for mizonot. Ugrusha lo timkor bat. A grusha cannot sell unless it's with a bedin. Because here, obviously, we're talking about the grusha. She's not getting for food. So grusha doesn't get food. We're talking about for or ketubah. He says only in a bedin. So says the Gemara, matzniti mani. Who is our Mishnah? Rabbi Shimon here. So Rabbi Shimon. The Tanya we learned in the Braita. Machra ketubata or mishkena ketubata. Uasta ketubata putiki lacher. A woman came and she sold the ketubah. Or she did it as a mashkon, as a collateral. Or she did it like a ketubah putiki for another person. She only has a mizonot. These are the words of Rabbi. Shimon says, even though she only sold half of it or less, she lost her mizonot. Because the second that she sold the ketubah, she doesn't get parnasan. Remember, when an almana asks for her ketubah, she loses parnasan. Because that means she got rid of she had a disconnect between her and her husband. Because once she asked for the ketubah, now that's it. So therefore, she doesn't get parnasan anymore. She doesn't get food from the yitomim anymore. So lemimra, are you going to tell me now that part of the money is like all the money? Rabbanan the Rabbanan are the ones that hold that miksat kesef is like kesef. We said the exact opposite. Then we learned to the Braita. Comes to exclude abugeret. Shekalu betulea. Remember that basically abugeret, meaning that once a girl becomes older, so she loses her betulim. What does that mean? That beforehand, right, her uterus is not that small anymore. It gets widened. These are the words that we need. Rabbi Lazar and Shimon machshirim begugeret. They actually permit and abugeret. So Hatam over there, he says bikrei pli. We're talking about the machloket and psukim. B'mir holds betula. Afilu miksa betulim even part of it. Betulea adi kulu betulim. Right? Betulea kedarka in shelo kedarka lo. Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Shimon sabri betula shlema mashma the entire thing. Betulea afilu miksa betulim. It's going to be part of the betulim. Okay, and betulea she called betulea kayamim, which means doesn't matter whether it's from the front or behind, right? It has to be that she's 100% of betula. Because when it says biftuleha, betulea means virginity, not only just from the front, means even from the back part, also she has to be a virgin. And that's what the halakha is saying. We'll continue with Zat Hashem on Wednesday.